Hey YouTube, Dan Ottawa here, the best 3rd/4th tier Pokemon Go battler in the world, coming at you with Retro Cup teams, 4 teams to try out, and going over the PVPoke rankings, top 20. So we just go over top 20, like what to look out for, what are the best teams, and kind of how this meta is going to work. So it's 1500 CP and below. Steel, Dark, and Fairy are not eligible. So right at the bat, your main staples are gone. Registeel, Clearance, Stunfisk under Steel, Umbreon, Mandibuzz, Scrafty under Dark, Azumarill under Fairy. Those are your main ones that you would normally see in Great League, 1500 CP, that you will not be seeing now. And then what I always do is just kind of go through each typing to say, like, okay, what becomes better and what becomes worse. So, for example, let's start with the better, because Steel, um, what becomes better is something like a Flyer, like Altaria, or Grass, something that would have been resisted by Steel. So those automatically become better. And Dark, I was thinking right off the bat when I saw Dark, I'm like, okay, so Trevenant, Jellicent, those that just get like really walled by Dark, Coffagrigus, those will now be probably more prevalent. And then on weaknesses, I'm like, okay, Steel and Dark, both weak to counter users. So your counter users are probably knocked down a notch, because most of those, not totally, like, because there's still like Walrein and stuff like that, but for the most part, because Steel and Dark is gone, your counter users are lower. And then Fairy's kind of the odd one out. I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, it's good against Dark, but Dark is banned. It doesn't have. It's just like a norm, sort of neutral. Otherwise, like it bumps up counter users to a certain extent there, because Fairy's banned, and that would take but there's still like Ghost in this, so that still resists. So I'm not sold on the counter users for this, but we'll go over the top 20 PvPoke, and then we'll go over the teams. So why I say counter users are gone but not forgotten is because look at the first, look on this list. Lickitung, Walrein at 2 and 3, Regirock at 7, Abomasnow at 8, Regice at 10, Snorlax at 11, Licklicky at 12, Abomasnow at 13, Castform at 14, Munchlax at 16, Celio at 19. You need a counter user. You need a counter user for all those. Obviously, they have other weaknesses, but counter super effective against all those. So why are we seeing these in the top 20? Well, I just did a PvPoke uh, updated rankings there that talked about how bulkier Pokemon are now going to have higher rankings, because, and those like Nidoqueen, who just have that poison jab, poison fang that can you just like dominate, are going to be higher up. And that's why I see like Tongue Excelled is super thick. Walrein obviously super thick and spammy. Altaria has always been up there. Nidoqueen I just talked about. Cresselia is on this list. Licklicky's on this list. Snorlax on this list. So bulkier Pokemon have more play just in general, because like I said, you don't need to worry about shielding as much. It gives you time to think about what your next play is. So that's why those Pokemon are showing up on here. And then, like I said, Trevenant, Coffagrigus, Jellicent, uh, Frostlass to a certain extent, because it's half ghost too, right? So all these ghosts that are now on here, because your darks are banned. So your um, main sort of weakness is now gone. So those are going to be high on this list. A lot of ice, right? Walreins, Frostlass, Abomasnows, Regice, Castform, Celio, because your steels are banned. So you're not going to run into that resistance of steel, which also is super effective against you. So that's why all of the ice are higher on this list. I'm trying to think. And then Regirock, having, because there's so many ice on here, and because there's so many things weak to fighting on here, having a Stone Edge Focus Blast combo is a pretty good combo to take anything out here. And then I can't even, number 18, Hakomo. Oh, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it. I haven't caught one yet. So that's on the list just as like again, anytime you have a Dragon Tail or Dragon Breath user, you're in pretty good shape. And again, you're not running into the steals, so those won't be resisted. So that's top 20. That's kind of why they're there. And let's take a look at teams. So first I started with, let's just do the main. Nope, that's not my team number one. My team number one is this one, Walrein Trevenant Metachamp. So very slight variation of what you normally see. Why it's on here is because, again, Walrein has just a lot of coverage, bulky, plus counter user I don't see we'll see as prevalent. Trevenant covers your weaknesses. I don't know why Walrein loses to Walrein. I think that's something with IVs. That should be an even matchup, right? Um, So Waller and Trevenant basically cover each other's weaknesses most of the way down. There's a couple odd ones though in Lapras and Abomasnow, which is why I'm like, okay, you're iced users. Let's throw in a counter user. So if they're in Metachamp, you could throw in Machamp, you could throw in something else. But again, counter users won't be as relevant. Darks are gone, so Trevenant's gonna have a little more play. There's a lot of ice, so Metachamp or some counter user will be okay. Team number 2, I started with Abomasnow because Abomasnow is the core breaker for Walrein Trevenant, right? Has the uh, Energy Ball for Walrein and has the obviously Powder Snow Weather Ball for Trevenant, so good combo there. Covered weaknesses down the line with Machamp as a counter user. Uh, and then there was Defense Deox and Metachamp, so I'm like, okay, well, you need a Ghost. And then I'm like, Jellicent's got pretty decent all the way down there. So again, something weak to counter, something that can be counter, and a Ghost that can absorb your counter weakness. I mean, sorry, what covers your counter is your Ghost in Jellicent. And Machamp covers your sort of bulky Pokemon that you just will not be able to take out in those matches, like Dugong, Lapras, stuff like that. Even though you can hit for super effective, you just get out bulked essentially. Team number 3, Cresselia, Nidoqueen, and Noctowl. And I think I may need to try this one pretty high because it was my best, like, you know how they give you the 4. I'm going to do a PVPoke how to analysis one day, how to use it. I know a lot of people are question like, how do you use this? How do you do that? So I'll do a full analysis soon. Uh, but in the analysis of like consistency, bulk, and there's a couple other ratings, this was like AABB or something like really, really high. As Cresselia just like, I mean, Cresselia won what was the first? The London regional, I think it was the first one. Cresselia, I'm just reading what's on the screen here. Cresselia was on the winning team's list. It's because it's just like so bulky and coverage with the grass knots and the moon blasts. So just look at how many X's all the way down. Weak to Trevenant and Lickitung and stuff like that. So I threw in a Noctowl where you resist the ghost, right? So that covers Cofagriga's weakness. That covers. So you basically have all those covered. And then Nidoqueen was for what you're not even seeing on the screen was this kind of sort of like glaring weaknesses page. Nidoqueen covered that, and it still does well against some of the main meta there. So this was actually a really, really strong team, and I think it's gonna be one of my first teams I use because the PvPoke analysis says this team should be really strong, and it does cover a lot of the meta. So last one, I used Cofagrigus first because I know that darks are banned, and that was the one main thing that absolutely walled it. So I started with that, and then I have a lot of weaknesses, so I need to cover those. So I started with Greedent, um, because you're still a ghost, so you're still weak to other ghosts, right? So I covered that weakness with Greedent as a normal, so that covered some of those weaknesses, and it's just spammy and bulky. And then you needed a counter user slash something to deal with flyers. And the best thing I could do with a counter user that deals with flyers is a rock type counter user in Pseudo Widow. So able to beat your wall reigns, able to wall your sort of Altarias and have the Stone Edge move to deal with that. So pretty good all the way down there. So those are the teams. Um, it's Ultra League this week, so I expect this to be a pretty busy league because boo for Ultra League. But 1500 CP Retro Cup, which bans Azu and Galarian Sunfisk, I think that's going to entice a lot of people. So I expect to see a lot of people playing this meta, this league for this week. So those are my teams. Let me know what you're running. Um, Give me some suggestions in the comments below. Like I have a ton of Great League Pokemon, so I can definitely try out a ton of these combos out. Like just looking at this, because this list is like your top 20 P-Poke. And the only ones I don't have on this list are I don't have a Lickitung built up yet. I don't have a Regirock. I don't have a Como-O. And that's it. I have every single other one on the left side here, plus many, many more. So if you have suggestions you want me to try out, let me know, and I will definitely try them out. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.